Hello, welcome to another edition of Issues with Jide. Here we analyze the actions and inactions of those who shape our national landscape and how they impact us positively or otherwise. I'm Ibrahim Shita. Today on the show, President Muhammad Buhari pardons ex-governors Dariye, Nyame, serving jail terms for corruption. And later on the show, Nigeria's inflation hits 15.92% as food, energy prices go up in the course. So in the course of the program, we'll take your question. But first, subscribe to our YouTube channel and drop your questions in the comment section. I have joining me via Zoom, the maestro himself, Babajide Kolade-Otitoju. It's good to see you.
Good to have you here today.
Right, let's start with President Muhammad Buhari granting a presidential pardon to 159 convicts, including ex-governor Joshua Dariye and former governor Jolly Nyame of Taraba State, who were both jailed for stealing state funds. This hasn't gone without much criticisms. What impression does this give you upon hearing this news?
I'm very, very disappointed. Kind of shocked. There are certain things that if you told me the president would do about 8 years ago, I would argue fiercely with you and tell you that, look, this president that I know would not go to that point. This president that I know would not compromise the war against corruption, will not wink at corruption in any way, will not spare corrupt people. But what have we seen? By pardoning corrupt people who are duly sentenced to jail terms, the president has disappointed a good number of his admirers who saw him as a new broom that will help sweep away corruption in our country. If you read the judgment handed down by Justice Banjoko against those two individuals, you would even be more disappointed in the decision that the National Council of State has permitted the president or advised the president to take. This whole thing emanated from the Attorney General of the Federation. They made the recommendation, and the president went ahead to exercise his power of pardon. But I believe that, one, our laws are not strong enough to fight corruption. They do not deter people sufficiently. And I believe that jailing somebody who stole billions of naira jailing someone who stole billions of naira for just 12 years and having that same sentencing, having that same person released from prison, it does not tell people that we are serious about fighting corruption. It does not tell people that, look, the consequences of corruption are too grave for one to take to corruption. If we really want to defeat corruption, then the laws should be amended. The laws should punish convicted corrupt persons a lot more. That is what should happen. 12 years, certainly not enough. And then after a few years, the same person sentenced to 12 years is told to go home so that I can take part in politics and the rest. It makes no sense at all. And it's not a president that we backed him all the way, supported him because of his credentials as an incorruptible person that should be taking that kind of decision. It shouldn't be the president allowing corrupt people to walk home after being jailed. We have seen the US Department of State this week issue a statement that Nigeria is not doing enough to battle corruption, saying that the executive as well as the legislature continue to pile pressure on judicial officers to judge cases in their favor, to resolve cases in their favor. The US Department of State also said that our judges receive bribes to compromise cases before them. So you see that when it comes to corruption, we are really not doing enough. And what the president did this week sends a very bad signal to the rest of the world that we are not interested in fighting corruption. We are not interested in defeating corruption. These are governors of the 2007 set. They left office in 2007. We only just secured their conviction in 2018, and we're already telling them to go home. I mean, if it was an ordinary man that was jailed, I'm sure the Attorney General would not recommend. If it was an ordinary man that was jailed for stealing, the Attorney General would not recommend such a person for pardon. But in our country, the law favors the high and mighty. The law favors the wealthy people. And now we are exercising the prerogative of mercy in favor of such big people who have been convicted for stealing. This it just makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah,
makes no sense.
Right, BK, but
there shouldn't be two sets of laws, one for the poor and one for the rich.
Right. Governor Samuel Otom of Benue State sees it differently. He has recently appealed to the federal government to review the cases of Dariye and Nyame. He appreciated the president for granting this pardon, just as he believed that the convicts must have learned some useful lessons from incarceration. How do you react to this?
I don't care how he sees it. That's absolutely his own problem. Of course, he's a sitting governor, and he may be thinking in a manner that what's going through his mind, we may not know. But I do not support what he has said. Let the person who has been convicted for corruption serve his time. Let him serve that time conclusively. We are saying that we are not even securing enough convictions. A lot of them get away. They get the court, they get the best lawyers, and usually the courts free them. Now, the few ones that have been jailed, for which we were praising this government, that, APC members were jailed for corruption, this and that. We were praising them. Now, what is the point in jailing people for corruption if you can go through the back door to effect their release? What is the point? The trial could have as well have been stalled. So it means that right now they can contest the next set of elections if they want to, So it's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate that these people were asked to go. People look at Dariye. Dariye was accused of lodging state funds in an account that he opened before he became governor. he kept state funds in his personal account. And the judge was very harsh on him. But we have let that judge down now in the manner we have handled this matter. But we let these people go scot-free. There's another senator who is facing who was allowed to go on the basis of technicalities. That's Ojus Okalu. I hope Ojus Okalu can face his trial afresh. He's trying to use the instrumentality of the law to evade trial. But I hope he can confront his trial like a man and let us see whether it deserves to be jailed or not. So I just don't think this is the right thing to do. We are not sending the right signals. We are telling people that corruption is winning against us. This does not help our cause as a nation. We are not fighting corruption. The EFCC continues to go after low-level corruption cases involving the Yahoo boys and all that. And the politically exposed persons are getting away with massive looting of our commonwealth. And even when we manage to secure conviction for very few of them, we still find a way to release them from prison. It's a massive shame. I'm ashamed that this has happened.
Let me take a question from a comment from Kamor Ibrahim. He says, we are told that it was the Council of State comprising of former presidents and it wasn't President Buhari's decision alone. So my question is, can't the president overrule, or can't he have overruled the decision?
If the president didn't want to do it, it will not happen. It was his attorney general that recommended them. It wasn't the Council of State that recommended them. The attorney general recommended them and passed it to the president. The attorney general does not have direct access to the Council of State. He made his decision known to the president. The president took the matter to the Council of State, and the Council of State then ratified it. If the president didn't want to do it, he would not have done it. He would have rebuked the attorney general for even thinking along that line. So it's a matter of the president wanting to do something. His attorney general instigated it. The president concurred with his attorney general. The president took the recommendation by his attorney general before the Council of State, and the Council of State said, go ahead. So this is the thing. It's just like, this is mere formality. It's just like the appointment of an Inspector General of Police. The Council of State to ratify the appointment of an Inspector General of Police by tradition. But it is usually the president that appoints. He appoints for the Council of State to ratify. How many times have we had that the Council of State said, no, you can't bring this before us, we don't want to do it? I mean, it's just, those are just ceremonial. Listen, if Malami did not recommend in the first place, would it have happened? My answer is no. So let no one say that the president, it wasn't the president's decision. It was what the president wanted. It was what he wanted. He absolutely wanted it. And that was why it happened.
Right. So some lawyers are actually miffed, about this decision. Senior advocates of Nigerians like Femi Falano said that, well, if that's the case, why do we have to jail someone for stealing 1,000 naira, even though if it's at gunpoint? Or shouldn't the president extend this pardon to other petty thieves?
Well, the president extends it to petty thieves, then he should as well outlaw stealing. Because how many petty thieves is he going to let off the hook? How many petty thieves is he going to allow to walk out of jail, for example? So it's not really, we can criticize the president for what he has done. We are justifiably disappointed, but we can't say that he should extend it to petty chiefs. No, I mean, it's ridiculous to even be thinking along that line. That would then amount to legitimizing stealing, because there are far more petty thieves than there are people who steal humongous sums of money.
To Niger, before we move to the other topic, to Niger is saying elites always get away with stuff like this. Same is happening in the UK and US. Presidents pardon all kinds of people. And Abdul Fattah is, he agrees with to Niger, saying all governments are the same all over the world, guys. Nigeria's case is just crazier. Never trust these jokers in government. Is that the same? Is that the way it is, BKO?
No, I disagree. There are certain categories of criminals that will not be pardoned. People should stop generalizing. In some countries of the world, stealing or refusal to pay tax is viewed as more serious, more grievous an offense to commit than manslaughter. In many countries of Europe, the punishment that the law prescribes for manslaughter is not as high as what is prescribed for evading tax, for refusing to pay tax, or for corruption. We've seen former presidents jailed for corrupt practices that happened when they were in office. We've seen the Israelis jail former prime ministers. So what are we talking about now? We can't keep trivializing everything and trying to justify some of what our leaders are doing. We are not helping ourselves by being this ridiculous. Please, jail. No one is too big to go to jail in some countries of the world. No one is too big to be jailed. And that's what we want to see. And when people are jailed, for them to really learn their lesson, for others to not feel like doing what they have done, we must ensure that they serve their time, serve it fully. You can't jail someone for 12 years, then after like 2.5 years or so, you let him walk away. No, that's unacceptable.
All right. Let's change direction of conversation by looking at what the National Bureau of Statistics said recently, that Nigeria's consumer price inflation rose in March from 15.70% to 15.92%, making it the highest rate in 5 months. Help us understand what this means for the man on the street.
Well, even without the NBS coming up with these statistics, even without the NBS telling us that inflation is rising in our country, you and I know that that is the case. You and I know that we've never had it this bad. Those who think we've had it worse than this, they have to prove it with facts. And we can go on to explain that gas prices have never been this high. As people were battling against high cost of cooking gas, for example, we now have this problem of high cost of diesel. People were buying diesel at 225 naira per liter. Suddenly, in the wake of Putin's senseless war in Ukraine, we now have diesel selling for as high as 750, or in some cases, even 800.
BK, we can't seem to hear you. I'm not sure from your end.
Both part of our country from the famous food belts of our country now have to pay more for diesel. And at the end of the day, they are going to push that burden onto the consumer. That is what we are seeing. They are pushing the burden onto the consumer. Look at it this way also. Even the cost of building materials, cost of sand, cost of granite, cost of gravel have gone up significantly because of diesel. Because of diesel. Because the trucks that bear these items from the places where they are produced spend a lot more now fueling. The drivers spend a lot more now fueling their trucks. So what do? In order to make ends meet, they have to increase the price of granite, increase the price of diesel, the price of gravel, increase the price of sand, increase the price of reinforcement. So it's not even food inflation alone that we are grappling with. We are grappling with inflation, high cost of building materials, high cost of bread, for example. Bread, because the machines that bake bread, you still have to fuel them with diesel. So don't also forget that in the month of March, part of February and March, because some people decided to bring off-spec petrol into our country, the country was plunged into petrol scarcity, and it impacted negatively on goods and services. So these are just some of the reasons why we have this level of inflation. Food inflation, especially, I'm worried about it because of insecurity. Farmers can't access their farmlands. They are forced to pay levies before they can access their farmlands, where they can even access. So at the end of the day, food prices will keep rising. Tomatoes, pepper, beans, even rice. The prices keep going up because of a lot of other variables. We've been having double-digit inflation since 2016. Since 2016, we've not had single-digit inflation. That should tell you
BKO,
what we are going through in terms of the economy. The economy is not doing well. The CBN reported that in the month of March, the Nigerian economy didn't do well in the month of March. The evidence of the decline of the Nigerian economy is there for everyone to see, whether you are an economist or just a regular person. You can see that price of goods and services are going up. Everything is going up, and they are not coming down. Nigerians are grappling. Even school fees. School proprietors have increased school fees. So everything is going up, making Nigeria a very difficult country to live in. This is what we are going through. Why haven't we been able to bring down inflationary rates and achieve single-digit inflationary rates since 2016? That should tell you that the economy is not being managed properly, because we should be able to arrive at single-digit inflation if the methods being applied are working, if the policies being adopted are yielding dividends. I am not convinced that the policies, the economic policies are yielding dividends, and is reflecting on the ordinary Nigerian. The ordinary Nigerian is finding things very hard. You go to the market today, by the time you return tomorrow, you'll be told that, the price has gone up. Now, I gave my wife some money to buy chicken. She got just one, for 8,500. 8,500. I can tell you that same size of chicken that she bought for 8,500 about 4 or 5 years ago, we were buying it for just 2,000 naira. 2,000 naira. So we just can't continue this way. The Nigerian economy needs to be managed a lot better.
Yeah, Biko, in recent times, just like you said, Nigeria suffered incessant grid collapse, which disrupted electricity supply and forced many businesses and households to spend more on alternative energy sources. So the burden of lower purchasing power of Nigerians also remains, as there are increases in the classification of individual consumption by purpose, just like you said. But I'm not sure if there is a silver lining in the horizon, Biko.
No, I can't see anything. I can't see anything. I do not. I want us to improve in the area of electricity generation, but I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening. This is a country that has more than enough gas.
Right.
More than enough gas. Yet we can't get gas supply to our thermal stations. You know that our gas is, we fuel our power stations largely with gas. Apart from Shiroro, Kanji, and Jeba, that are hydro plants, we have had to depend on gas-fired power stations, power plants. Many times, these power plants have no access to gas. So you can imagine a country with tremendous deposits, tremendous gas resources, finding it difficult to get gas supplied to its power plants. It's such a shame. If our leads, if that diesel prices will not be this high, because at least we'll be able to refine diesel in our country and sell to our people. All of what makes these things very high is the fact that there is no subsidy on diesel, and everything is imported into the country. And you and I know that the landing cost is huge. So everything is passed onto the end users, onto the final end user. So that's why it's so expensive. But if we had the refineries working, we won't be talking about diesel prices getting as high as 750 to 800 naira per liter. I mean, it's crazy. We've got to do things better. We've got to manage the economy better. And one of the enablers of the rising inflation in our country is also our exchange rate. We are largely a consumer nation, yet our currency is not stable.